And for more, let's bring in Rich Goldberg. Rich is a senior advisor at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Rich, great to see you here. Is there a world that you see where the United States has control of Greenland?
I think that's very possible. I think we have to step back and educate the American people about why the president cares about Greenland. Frankly, the president and the White House need to do more of that education. It can start by reminding people why Alaska is important to the United States, both strategically, its position, geographically, importance for missile defense, all the critical minerals, oil and gas resources there, and then understand that in a changing world where China and Russia are seeking to dominate the Arctic, be able to sneak up with their navies and other military capabilities in the Western Hemisphere, we need to be able to guard, not just for the United States, but for all of NATO from that happening. And Greenland, of course, has incredible, tremendous, untapped natural resources in a time when China is trying to control the periodic table. So you add all of that up, we have to understand why Greenland is important, and then talk to the Danes, who are our allies, who served in Afghanistan alongside us, fought and died there, treat them like allies, but bring NATO leaders along, educate them, give them briefings, and then say, here are the various options to make sure the United States will be in a position to defend the Western Hemisphere, defend NATO when China or Russia come knocking.
Rich, but do we need to actually take over Greenland? Can't we work, as you pointed out, with the Danes? Can't we work with NATO? They don't seem to have any problems with us building additional bases there, or even drilling for minerals, or doing what needs to be done to sort of police the globe as we're doing, and also for our own national security and for other countries around the world. As a takeover, is that worth it?
Well, I think the Danes have not been specific on what they're willing to do in renegotiating the treaty with the United States. The U.S. would need to have rapid response capability, pretty much total defense control over Greenland's territory, and also a lot of economic rights. Now, we would make sure the Greenlanders get economic benefits, the likes of which they've never gotten from Denmark along the way. But, of course, that could be a path if Denmark's willing to negotiate certain terms. There's also a middle ground between territory and simple bilateral relationship, and that is something we call a COFA state. We do that with some Pacific Island states, where the Greenland would align with the United States to get the security benefits, to get economic benefits from the United States, and the U.S. would be able to have that sort of control. Denmark may or may not agree to that, but the Danes should think about how much this is already contributing to their revenue side of their economy, how much they spend, how much they could be getting from the United States as payment for certain arrangements. And then the Greenlanders should think about their standard of living, which should go through the roof with the United States involved.
Yeah, let's get to that. The Greenlanders. Greenland is about, 3 times the size of Texas, population around 56,000 people. What say do the people who actually live there, the people who they say it is their country? Do they have any say in their future? It's easy to tell them, oh, it'll be great under the United States, but should they have a vote, so to speak?
That is one option where Greenland could work with Denmark to have some sort of a referendum. The tricky thing with all of this is that with a population so low like Greenland, and 3 great powers eyeing Greenland for all the same reasons, that being China, Russia, and the United States, a lot of money that could flow around, a lot of influence operations that could be conducted. You don't really know who's pulling whose string at any given moment. That's actually part of the security threat we face right now, I think, and the possibility of a disinformation campaign. So it's a possibility. We could talk to the Danes about that. They've said the future of Greenland should be decided by Greenlanders. But I think we would have to have a more robust education campaign, really going door to door, to let people in Greenland know this is what the United States would deliver. It's not about putting you out of business or taking your homes. It's about raising your income level way more than Denmark ever will.
We're talking also about, as you brought up the issue of money, of course, tariffs. President Trump has threatened tariffs on those European nations who don't support the path to U.S. ownership of Greenland. But just logistically, how is it possible to put a tariff on only part of the European Union when obviously it is the European Union? How would that play out?
Well, I think the Commerce Department and the U.S. Trade Representative obviously can look at jurisdictions of where goods are being sourced from, where bases of operations are, and corporation papers. And that will be something that Howard Lutnick, the Secretary of Commerce, Jamison Greer, our trade representative, would have to work out the logistics of. It's a tool, obviously, the president has used in various negotiations, trade negotiations, other security dynamics, and it's one that he's going back to now to open what he hopes is probably a pretty robust negotiation with the Danes, and also to get other NATO leaders, in fact, the NATO Secretary General, involved to get educated about why he thinks there is a security problem without U.S. control in Greenland security, and what the solution needs to be where everybody feels like they've gotten a win out of this situation.
It will be very interesting to see how those talks go, and something tells me we'll be talking about it right here. Rich Goldberg, thank you.
You bet.